Well, gang, you might want to clench your butt cheeks for this one, because holy smokers, it ain't no damn joke, guys. Stop rolling those fat doobies, put your pants back on, because we're gonna be diving into this sucker immediately, okay? Because the stuff that is coming out today, baffling, and you're not gonna believe this. And I was reading comments and people are going crazy on Dr. Stephen Greer with the stuff that he just said about UFOs, the disclosure and the aliens. He also brought up the JFK situation, and yeah, there are words that I cannot say on YouTube, but it's gonna get real tough, guys. Let's actually roll this one here. Like the video if you love videos like these, but if you're new here, guys, do not subscribe. I post random stuff, so you don't have to subscribe. But I want to shout out Valuetainment. Look at this UFO, man. Look at this twat right here. I mean, okay, we're gonna see you later, man. We're gonna talk about that in a bit, but this one is the main thing. Shout out to Valuetainment, Dr. Stephen Greer. Let's find out what happened. Is it bull squash, or is there some truth behind it? Roll it.
I mean, here's just one example of a man. Now you can see this. This is in the flash drive I gave you. So this is a craft that Mr. Herrera was on a Marine platoon, and this was in 2009 in Indonesia. They were on a humanitarian mission.
Can a brother get like a full-blown image of it?
So they go out there. I wanted to bring Mr. Herrera here, but he had a work conflict. And he and his 6 guys went off in a direction, came across in the jungle that object, this.
Oh.
Now, there's a black and white version. We have a color. But the point I'm making is this object, man-made, staffed with some kind of covert human operators without proper military insignia. And in the crate there, we found out from this new whistleblower, this because he was at that conference at the National Press Club in June of 2023 when Mr. Herrera disclosed this. Okay. He was threatened to be killed by all these guys who were there. And then this crate, he thought they were transporting drugs. And then this new whistleblower came up and said, no, those are human assets in there. These are people that have been taken to be trained as a psionic operator. And a psionic operator is someone who, they pump them up full of drugs. Most of them end up dying or end up in a coma. Some of them survive. And they're used to use their, what I was talking about before, consciousness and thought to latch onto the guidance systems of a non-human craft. And people say,
and this is something that has been coming out recently with the News Nation report. They, you know, that guy with the big eyes wide open guy, Jake Barber, he came out and they fully disclosed the X-ship craft, the X-ship UFO, and alongside it they were also talking about, hey, there were 2 UFOs that were having a dogfight in here. Not my opinion, guys, not my opinion, man. This is what they were saying. Okay, look at this twat, bro. So they were saying that 2 UFOs were fighting, having a dogfight, and they brought up this psionic team, aka remote viewers, and they did their like voodoo stuff, psionic abilities, and they were able to calm these alien twats, these bozos down, is what they are saying. I mean, it sounds crazy when you say this out loud and when you think about it. Like, if you have seen, like, let me just simplify this for you. If you have seen Stranger Things, you know the character of Elle? Exactly that, but now apparently it's real life, essentially. How crazy is that? How many of you guys believe in remote viewing? I want to know about that, but let's continue.
This sounds like science fiction. Yeah, well, you know, you're not dealing with a Boeing 777. You're dealing with civilizations hundreds of thousands of years more advanced, with technologies commensurate to having socially, spiritually, and technologically evolved for that long and not blown themselves up like we're about to. So those civilizations are at that point where they can have thought, consciousness, mind, technology interface as easily as you and I pick up a cell phone and talk, which would have been magic. You know, one thing I tell people, step out of this little slice of time we're in and realize if you were to go back to Thomas Jefferson and show them your smartphone and video conference someone, well, if you were in Salem, Massachusetts, you'd be burned at the stake as a witch because it would look like, you know, witchcraft. To us, it's an everyday thing. Flipping on a light switch, no one thinks about it. It'd be magic to someone 1,000 years ago. So imagine, now let's extrapolate that technology curve into the future, a few 100,000 or 1,000,000 years. What do you think you're going to have? You're not going to have what everyone's expecting. And this is the blind spot of scientists, frankly. They're always looking at right now or in the rear view mirror. And when you're encountering civilizations non-human intelligence is this advanced, you've got to put everything you know on a shelf, because we don't know anything. I mean, we're like half a step out of the jungle scientifically. But these covert engineering programs that started studying this back in the 40s and 50s, they have all this. I mean, they have figured all that part of it out. And however much you think is sitting out there in the desert, it's 100 times more. You know, Ben Rich, you remember Ben Rich? He was the director, the president of the Lockheed Skunk Works.
Yeah, okay.
So the week he died, he had a conversation with a colleague of mine.
Yeah, he's gonna be like Googling, Mom, get me the keyboard so I can Google right now. That's what Patrick, shout out to Patrick, I love Patrick, love his channel and all that, but even he's baffled right now. He's like confused. He's like, ooh, let me Google that real quick. Let me Google that. But how many of you guys believe in Dr. Stephen Greer? 1 in the comments if you do, 2 if you do not believe him. I don't know in which one exactly. I've skimmed through this. I've watched this before, so I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to actually bring that up, cover it, talk about it, and all that. But I've seen another one too. I'm not sure was it this one exactly or the other clip, but Dr. Stephen Greer said, you know, Luis Elizondo, according to Dr. Stephen Greer, Luis Elizondo is a paid shill. Oh, shit. Oh, he is a controlled op. He's he's part of it, the project Blue Balls, let me just put it that way. In other words, he's not for real. He started saying some little truths here and there, but he's controlled by the government, according to Dr. Stephen Greer. I guess one thing is for certain, like a lot of people, when they look at whistleblowers, even when I look at whistleblowers, a lot of people want to believe, but they cannot seemingly fully believe them based off of all the lies that have been told over the years and decades, right? People are always going to have this thought in the back of their mind that, okay, yeah, what you're talking about is fascinating. I love this topic. I want to know about it. I want to learn more about this topic. We want to know the truth. But, and what you're saying, okay, maybe it's making sense. Maybe, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. But how do I know you are not controlled by these government, these Lockheed, these dark ops? Like, how do I know you're not part of it? How do I know that you are looking to, for real, disclose the truth? You know, it's just so hard to find like a whistleblower that's truthful and also not controlled by the government, right? Perhaps it's a good thing. I'm trying to be objective and trying to be, or not objective, but I'm trying to be optimistic on this one. Perhaps like the whistleblowers that are coming out on the likes of David Grush, let's just say, right? I'm not saying these whistleblowers are controlled by the government. I'm not saying Luis Elizondo is or not, because I don't know. That's what Dr. Stephen Greer is saying. Perhaps even Dr. Stephen Greer is controlled by them, or perhaps not. But being optimistic here for a second, and if we are being optimistic, what if, yes, they are controlled by the government, but it's part of the government plan to slowly drip feed us the truth, because maybe for some odd reason, maybe they know more than us because they have the data. Perhaps they're doing the slow feed through these whistleblowers because they know if they come out tomorrow and fully reveal the truth about the aliens disclosure and do the full disclosure, do the full UFO stuff, maybe it's gonna really create chaos around the streets. Maybe they are paranoid about that. Maybe that's what they think gonna happen. So this is why they're like slowly, you know, drip feeding us, getting us desensitized. And if you're a believer, you already are desensitized. You already know, like, you already believe you're not alone. We're not alone. But yeah, I guess for the normies that are on the sidelines, or perhaps they don't believe it, this and that. So perhaps it's that. I want to know your thoughts on that one, but let's actually continue rolling.
James Goodall. And Jim Goodall is a very renowned aerospace historian and
Ben Rich,
a mainstream author. And Ben Rich and he knew each other. So he called him up. He was very close to death, had cancer. And Ben Rich says to, you know, he asks, well, you know, what do you really have out there in the desert? And Ben Rich says, anything you can imagine, anything you've seen on Star Trek or Star Wars, we have it, we've already done it, it's out there in the desert. He says, but not Area 51. And he was talking about in the underground facilities connected to this. So what that opening is connects to a place called the Ant Hill, which is to the east, out in the desert further, and goes underground through a series of bases. They're known as STIFs, subterranean facilities. Some people call them DUMs, deep underground military bases. And they're connected with underground tunnels. I actually have in my archive the patent for the machine that made those tunnels that are made by various contractors like Bechtel Corporation and some others that I know. So those facilities have been studying in reverse engineering ET tech, alien tech, whatever you want to call it, for 70 years. They've also had trillions of dollars that the U.S. government doesn't know has been going into that.
Can a brother get 2 pennies? And can a brother perhaps get to see some more evidence on that? Because I love the talk, don't get me wrong, but I want to see some evidence too, man.
And I will say, of all the scientists I've met in the world from any academic institution, the scientists that get picked out of high school or college working on this technology, this is the Raytheon triangle.
Yeah.
They are the brightest, most accomplished scientists, highest IQ I've ever met, period.
Oof, okay.
But you're not going to see them at MIT and Harvard.
So, in other words, are you saying that I'm local? You saying that I'm low IQ? You saying that people watching this video low IQ? How dare you say that, Dr. Steven Greer? How dare... I'm joking around. He did not say that. But, now, to be honest, though, makes sense. They don't want to hire somebody that... I'm certain they're not going to have, like, DEI stuff or people that don't have the... For example, DEI is all about, like, hiring people based off the looks, not necessarily the merit, not necessarily the skill, right? And I guess they would not want to have any DEI department. They want to hire someone regardless of race, gender, color, orientation, regardless of all that. They would be beyond that, right? If you're good for the job, you're good for the job. Makes sense, right? They certainly do not want to let any Bob on the streets. No offense to anybody by the name of Bob watching this video. I love you, Bob. Shout out to you, Bob, man. How you doing, Bob? What's up, Bob? How you doing, man? Nothing but love, man. But I'm just metaphorically speaking, right? They don't want to hire any Bob from the streets and let them fly a fighter jet that costs millions and millions of dollars, right? That's true for that. Now, coming back to this topic with the Lockheed, the Black Ops, the dark operations, you know, the reverse engineer tech with the UFOs and all that, trillions of dollars are at stake here, and they're deploying trillions of dollars on it, which, first of all, go missing, and that's when they deploy on these projects, right? Sheesh, man. Of course there would be zero concept, at least I think about that way, there would be zero concept of DEI in this case. They would not want to have anybody that's low IQ on the team. They want to have high IQ people. I mean, makes sense, right? And look at that. This was caught live on news. Holy smokers, it ain't no damn jokers, right? I wanted to actually have like a UFO compilation playing too while we talk to. I think that adds more, you know, to the immersion for you fellas at home, right?
Harvard. Now,
why won't you? Where do they recruit them from?
They identify them sometimes in early, you know, through IQ tests and other special abilities and talents programs, and then, you know, once they're identified, then they get kind of pulled over in that direction. And by the way, your top special forces guys that I know, like Jake Barber, very, very, very incredibly smart guy.
He's talking about the eyes wide open guy, the guy that revealed the egg-shaped UFO, the guy that never blinks, according to people in the comment section on youtube.com.
He was identified as a specially gifted person as a young man, and eventually got moved into the Special Forces, Delta Force, Air Force, and then emerged as a contractor, what they used to call a NOC, a non-official cover, for the intelligence community interfacing with the partners, you know, over in the aerospace. So he was assigned to the aerospace corporations, but also as an intelligence guy, and I know what agency he was from. So that is how it's done, but he was identified as a relatively young man, as very, you know, incredibly gifted, and he is. So the best of your Green Beret, Special Forces, Navy SEAL guys are not only amazing warriors, but the top tier of them are also very bright and very accomplished. So the same thing happens with your scientists that they want to grab up.
What is this name of the place you were talking about? I want to go to the Jake Barber clip. What is the name of the place, the anthill Lockheed, that picture that you showed, what's the name of it if Rob wanted to just search for it?
Well, this is...
pull that up, Rob! Okay, so Joe Rogan got Jamie, Patrick got Rob. Yeah, that's crazy. But he's gonna get down to the Trump JFK stuff as well. Trump did say that he's gonna reveal the files for JFK, right? I don't think he has yet. I believe he has revealed, declassified like some other files, but so far he has not. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Trump also did say that he's gonna declassify 911 stuff too. And I have not seen any fuss on the internet, so therefore I don't think he has declassified yet. And he also did say that a day, two, or I believe a week before inauguration, that he's gonna reveal the truth about JFK too, or declassify rather. And according to Stephen Greer, which is coming up, that he was assassinated because of the fact that he was going to reveal the truth about the UFOs. I don't know, man. It's gonna get crazy.
It's the I think the Howland. It's just the Lockheed Skunk Works test range.
Lockheed Concourse
Skunk Works. Lockheed Skunk Works. So it's an RCS range. It's a range where they test. And I have some other images we can give you where you'll see there's what looks like a runway, right? You got a runway back here at this jetport. Mm-hmm. It's not a runway. You look at, there are diamonds on what looks like a runway. That's where the man-made anti-gravity craft that Lockheed makes come up out of the ground, hover over the diamond, and then they're struck with certain directional energy weapons to see how sturdy they are and how stable they are. And most of them are hardened enough, but occasionally one goes down.
Is that what you're talking about right there?
Correct. So you see those diamonds. That is not a runway. So they come up and they float over those diamonds at various distances. And so that's where you test these objects. And they're electrogravitic, meaning they're not conventional propulsion systems. So there's no rockets, there's no jets, etc.
I just wanted to show you, like, without the captions and without the face cam for a second or two, if you want to pause it and take a look for yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like the video for me to take care of you, man.
I will give you the date when we mastered gravity control.
Uh-oh.
It was October 1954, so I wasn't born yet. So in the elite engineering and contracting world, these have been in various stages of development in 40s and 50s, but they mastered, let's call the gyro. So that, you know, it's some of the early UFO film footage you see, it looks like the thing is like a leaf falling. Mm-hmm. It's because that was a man-made one that wasn't stable, wasn't alien. But once they mastered gravity control, then they became stable. And by the late 1950s, early 60s, they started being used in special projects, illegal special projects, which is why Eisenhower lost control of this whole enterprise. Eisenhower was the one that got deceived, and then ultimately, you know, on his farewell address, Eisenhower said, "Beware the military-industrial complex." He was talking mostly about this kind of operation that he couldn't talk about publicly. Jack Kennedy was going to get to the bottom of this. He fired Allen Dulles, CIA, you know, one of the founders, and he also subsequently got assassinated. Now, whether the files that President Trump's going to release have this in it, I know. And I have people who in another country have documents to establish this, that Jack Kennedy was killed because he was going after this issue to get it back under control, the UAP issue. So, and I pretty am certain that Robert Kennedy was killed for the same reason.
You think he was killed for this reason?
Yes, I do. Whew. Yeah, I have a document. It's an interesting letter that it's in our archive. Not in here, it's in our archive, from Bobby Kennedy, Sr., when he was running for president in '68, and it was like about...
Bull squash, or you guys tend to believe it, or you're like, hey, how would I know? How would I know, right? Because that's where I'm at right now. Seriously, how would I know, right? I was not there, and it's classified stuff. It's pretty tight-lipped, so... And if we get the declassified documents for JFK, maybe that's when we're gonna learn the truth, but again, can it be that when they reveal or declassify, can it be that the files that we get to see are not real and they're tampered with? I don't know. There's gonna be that part too. Man, listen, man. Can a brother get some answers? We demand answers. We demand answers. at this point, guys, seriously, I don't know if we're ever gonna get a real and honest disclosure. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna have full disclosure. I hope we do, but yeah, it seemingly feels that way. I'm getting quite pessimistic right now, I get it, but I'm not. Yeah, I feel like that we're not gonna get. I mean, it's interesting talking about these videos and, you know, having a conversation and discussion about this topic, don't get me wrong, but we're yeah, like in terms of disclosure from the government, guys, for that to happen, something big needs to happen. Maybe perhaps like everybody that worked on Area 51 comes out and they start leaking stuff, right? And we got crazy amount of whistleblowers from all over the world start, and if they start coming out with credentials and with proof, videos, images, maybe that's when it's gonna start to make sense, and maybe that's when it's gonna be able to force the hand of the government, and that's when perhaps maybe the government is gonna be like, okay, let's give up now and let's reveal the truth. But I don't know. Till that, I don't know, man.
30 days before they killed him. And he was running for president in 68, and it was like about 30 days before they killed him. And it's a letter. It's kind of funny. It's archaically written. Well, it's the 60s, right? And it says, I'm paraphrasing here, if I can get you a copy of it. He says, I'm a card-carrying member of the Amalgamated Flying Saucer Association of America. This is Bobby Kennedy writing this. And I'm very eager to do this. This is very important. He really wanted to get to the bottom of it because he knew that his brother, or JFK, President Kennedy, had been killed trying to get to the bottom of this and was also planning to really clean house at the CIA. So Bobby Kennedy writes this. 30 days later, he's dead. And not long ago, you know, I've provided that to his family, to his Bobby Kennedy's family. And, you know, actually, they had never seen this letter. I said, well, they said, how do you have it? Well, I said, it's what I have. I have this vast archive. And it's authentic.
Okay, it seems like that he did talk about Luis Elizondo in a separate clip, not in this video, because I've seen, like, another clip on Valuetainment during this podcast. It was during this podcast, but it's, like, little clips, right? So, yeah. Okay.
And so this goes back a long time. A lot of American history that people think they know, they don't. Whether any of that comes out, I'm sort of skeptical, actually. I'm not even sure that the files that they have.
Yeah, I mean, again,
are going to have.
Yeah, even if they declassify, are we going to get the full truth? Probably not. I mean, realistically, even if he did not say that, I mean, technically speaking, like a lot of people would be on the side of, hey, even if they declassify, is that the full truth? Probably not. Probably not.
Have all this in it.
I'm curious what we're going to learn about that we don't know about right now under this administration.
Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Greer.
Thoughts, guys? And check out this video on the screen because apparently Pentagon reported that there are dozens of UFOs flying in space. We have a clip of a UFO mothership right in the beginning of this video. Check it out if you have not seen it. It's some strange stuff, man. Check it out and I'll see you right there. If you already seen it, then surely check out the video on the left.